Victoria. If you ever watch those old gangster movies and those scenes when they're smoking a cigar, or even the famous Scarface picture, notice his swag, what he's wearing. He's not just smoking a cigar and a t-shirt of what they call today a wife beater. He's got style. He's got swag in everything he do. When you look at the mobsters, the Al Capones, or when you look at business, it's always associated with a cigar. What you wear is just as important as to what you smoke. I like to smoke in these Lifestyle After 5 t-shirts. I think these are classy and stylish. And today's episode is sponsored by the Lifestyle After 5 shoes and our Lifestyle After 5 shirts. This is called Smoking Class. Smoking in class after 5. Get it? What's going on, Patrick and Victoria? How y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good, doing great, man. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful.
It's great, man.
I smoked the 601, the Espinosa 601 Warhead Bomber last night.
How'd you enjoy that?
I thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through. It was consistent. I was in my Lifestyle After 5 shirt. Y'all gonna catch that review coming out. Think she's gonna put this out probably sometime next week or something. Yeah, probably next week. But
Cool.
yeah, it was an awesome consistency all the way through,
That's good.
which leads up to tonight. So we talked about for you beginners. Not only we gonna educate you on your swag tonight, we're gonna talk about the cigar, the whole structure. We're gonna break down the structure of the cigar, the parts, the leaf, everything. You're gonna get an education tonight. So stay tuned, stick all the way through this because you're gonna learn something. You're gonna learn the anatomy of a cigar. And Patrick and Victoria are gonna teach us. The aficionados.
We're gonna try. We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you're gonna do good. So I guess the vibe starts in where you smoke. And I know we alluded a little bit last week to some people like I've seen some people they want quietness when they smoke. They maybe the television, they might want to watch a game and they just want the quiet atmosphere when they
Mhm.
relax and when they smoke. There are others that they want the sound, they want the music, they want the nightclub scene where they can smoke a cigar. Now, sometimes the worlds don't collide with them and go well. Some people say, no, I don't want all that bumpity bump when I smoke. I want to, I want it quiet. So I know you got a few spots that you all visit out in San Antonio.
Yeah. So there's a couple spots. We frequently visit Cigars International. They have both nights. They usually have the quiet nights, but they also have old school night. They'll have a DJ playing the music. Just bumping. That's one of the ones that we like. We like doing both. So sometimes we do it quiet. Sometimes we don't. You got 4 nines, which is a little more.
Intimate.
It's a little more
Yeah.
intimate. It's not as big as Cigar International, but it's more personal, and you're right there with somebody. It's quiet, of course. But when games are on, man, you can't count. Everybody's cheering. Doesn't matter what game's playing. Everybody's cheering. And then of course you got Finks and
Club
you
Humidor.
got Club Humidor. Those are more the laid back ones. They really don't have too many TVs inside, but it's more of a social club. I guess you can talk to the people who are more around you, who are enjoying a cigar, when presence with you.
I kind of like a little music. I like when the DJ got a nice little mix and they're taking me back while I'm smoking my cigar and I kind of get into a groove with a nice drink. I prefer here, of course, I'm in the Fort Worth area, so I frequent Pendulum Cigar usually on the weekends. And when I'm in Charlotte, I got to check out one of the Taylor Smoke locations. So shout out to those flagship clubs. So as we get into this anatomy of the cigars and the artistry of even the custom sneaker, there's a tight parallel. You look at the Italian leather shoes that they wear that's finely stitched and polished. You don't really see, at least I have never seen someone, and not saying there's anything wrong with that, come in there with some dirty work boots and plop their foot on a table and smoke a cigar. Maybe there's something for back home.
Yeah.
Well, what do you say to the customer? Oh, and I like the shirts that you all are wearing. Let's look how you're coordinating. Tell us
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, like it's so some of the things that we have. Cigar International holds an event, Stogies and Kicks. There's another one similar to that out in Las Vegas. So there's a really big correlation between not just shoes, but just what you're wearing and the cigar. And yeah, like you said, you don't see a mobster smoking in a wife beater. Like they step it up. They step it up with the style, and it adds like a power element to it, I feel.
And it gives you confidence. Like if you go in there, you're dressed to the T, you're looking good, you fly. You're gonna probably spend a little more money on a cigar because you're gonna go for the Arturo Fuente or the God of Fire or even a Liga Privada. Some of the higher brands, but you know it's there's nothing wrong with going in, t-shirt, especially here in Texas. It gets hot. It gets hot.
Yeah.
It gets hot going in a t-shirt and some shorts. You know, of course, you got to go casual, but there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're going to dress up, you're probably going to end up spending a little more money while you're smoking because it just goes hand in hand because it gives you that power feeling, like Victoria was saying. You feel powerful.
Confident.
You feel like fly, like you have the swagger, and it just brings that self confidence out in you.
Also, Patrick, which lounge? What is it about the vibe of the lounge that captures your personal swagger and makes you the vibe you get as you're smoking that Ligar Pravada?
So, so my like how it captures me, like so when I'm smoking Liga Privada, I'm there and I know it's one of the better in cigars. So I know like, hey, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but you know what? This makes me feel better to me. So it brings me out. So it helps my swag, and I can go in, nice button up shirt, slacks. I got some Stacy's on. I go in there and I smoke one of them. Oh man, I'm on top of the world, and it just makes me feel like, hey, I can do anything, even if I'm not just smoking a Liga Bravado in there. It still makes me feel good because you know what? Smoking a cigar isn't only just about smoking a cigar; it's an experience and how you put that experience together. So if you want to go fly, a little more expensive, you know what? It's all part of the package. So it's just how you experience it. That's how I feel. I feel whenever I'm smoking a good cigar, I feel good. Even if I'm smoking a bad cigar, it's right. It still feel good. But if I'm to the T, it makes me feel even better.
Now, the two go together. So just picture this scene. I come in and I'm in this custom suit. I got my vest on or this Lifestyle After 5 shirt. And I walk into the cigar bar and I'm looking tight from my custom sneakers all the way to my gear. And I get in there and I confidently walk up there to the bar and I say, can I have a black and mild? So
Oh,
the
yeah.
cigar that you choose is just as important because people are
Yes.
gonna look at you. And you said when you're smoking a premium, more higher end cigar, tell us a little bit. How can I tell what I'm smoking? Because this is for the beginners. So I come in here and I don't really know anything, and I coming out order. I'm
Yeah,
ordering the wrong cigar, but let's just say a black and mild is not something you want to order in a cigar bar. If they probably won't even have it,
yeah. They
Yeah.
usually do.
but but and I had shout out to Shot Town Peaches out there when we did an interview with her. She was saying that she judges people, and not everybody's judgmental by what you smoke.
Yeah,
So
I
Yeah.
mean,
Sometimes.
I'm not gonna name any names, but as this macho man, your cigar has to fit your image, and
Hmm.
yes,
so you can't. It's kind of like pulling out a little. If you was back in the Western days, and you're in the middle of a gunfight, and you pull out this little pea shooter, and
yeah.
these guys have weapons or whatever. So yeah. So tell us what is it about a good high end cigar, and how can you tell?
So I mean, first thing is usually it's going to be price, right? So,
Yeah.
the average price you're going to see at a cigar lounge is between $9 and $12. Now they have higher end cigars, some that go up to $50. I've seen a couple that go up to 250. Doesn't mean they're really great cigars, but the more you spend, the more is involved in the process. So when you're getting a premium cigar, you'll be able to feel it. Um, so when you go and pick up, say, let's just say like a Ave Maria, it's kind of mid. It's not too expensive, but it's not cheap. You're going to be able to feel how it's rolled. But as compared if you go pick up an Arturo Fuente or an Opus X, you're going to feel it's just a difference in the texture. Even though they're cellophane, you're going to still feel difference in the texture. You're going to be able to see the wrapper. It's usually aged a little longer, so there's going to have a little bit of a different color. And don't get me wrong, cheap cigars smoke just as good as bad, the expensive cigars. But if you're looking for a quality thing, ask. Don't be afraid to ask, because you don't know. Like, hey, if I'm paying $50 for a cigar, is it going to be worth it? In your opinion, it might not be. But you can tell just by, you can do your own research too. Like, you can go, like, before you go to a cigar bar, like, I know that this is what they're going to have, so let me look at it. Maybe that's not for me. But if you're just doing it by hand, you can feel it. You'll feel the construction of it. It'll be either a little tighter, whereas the cheaper ones might be a little looser. It just has a little bit of a softer sponge feeling. But that doesn't mean it's a bad cigar. But the draw might be a little different.
You can tell how much filler and tobacco is in it just by the feel of it, how, fat it is. And like you said, if it's a little spongy, if it's a little, firm, that's how you can tell.
I like it when it's a little spongy and I can feel a little moisture in the cigar. I was buying a cigar the other day, and something I didn't think about. And the guy I was buying a cigar from told me he don't smoke his cigars as soon as he don't buy cigars and smoke them that day. He buy them and they have to sit in his humidor for at least 30 days or so.
Okay.
Let the flavor sit in, age and flavor sit in and settle. But I would figure if I went to a cigar shop and listen, they just stocked up that day, it's possible that they could have been sitting for 30 or more days
Oh,
in
yeah.
the humidor at the cigar shop.
Yeah, it's a humidor. The whole establishment, it's a humidor.
Exactly.
So it's like keeping it in, one of your personal humidors for 30 days.
Now, you mentioned doing your research. Research, if you're going to talk with real aficionados, is just as important, because I was talking with a guy the other day, and we were talking about cohibas, because I was asking, what do you think of cohibas? He's like, most of them is commercialized. It's basically, that's the go-to to everybody. Say, oh, I smoke cohibas. So he said he always get them. Well, if you smoke cohibas, which series do you smoke? He's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
what I like. But, and I noticed a lot of cigars have series
Mm-hmm.
that
That's
they're not going to.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like right now, like the Cohibas, right? They just came out with the Spectre series, which is top of the line right now. And Cohiba is one of the oldest cigar manufacturers out there, coming from Cuba. Their origins are in Cuba, so a lot of people were represent, hey, I smoke Cohiba, so I'm in the power. I have that swag, so that's what we were talking about earlier. Is Cohiba is one of those brands that some people place in that mobster, or they got the money or the power.
Yeah, and to my ladies, y'all know what it's like when you're shopping. If you're going to go and you're going to shop high end, any name brand, one is going to be expensive. Two, more than likely, is going to be worth the money that you're paying for it. So just like kicks, just like sneakers, I know the Lifestyle After 5 sneakers, what, Italian leather? Yeah, I'm going to dish out more for that. I'm not going to get that anywhere else.
Absolutely. Let's get into this hand rolling. Now, according to my research, the traditional techniques came from the 18th century of Cuba and defined with modern quality. And they said the average roller can roll around 100 cigars per hour.
So there's two ways. So usually they can do that. There's the hand rolled ones, and then there's the machine rolled ones. Machine rolled ones you can pop out a little more, but usually, because we've hand rolled our own cigars. We went to a class. We're still, we
It's
wanted
a
to get,
process.
yeah, it's a process. So when you're getting into it, you're going to be able to maybe do one or two in a couple of hours. But usually when you're into it, you can probably produce 300 a day, just really depending on how many presses you have, um, and how many you just really pop out. But like with the machine made, it's literally a machine that rolls them, packs them, puts it away. You can just put it away, pop, 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 pop. And that's when you can be pumping out the major amounts. Now, most traditional um, like hand rollers, they do it by hand, so it does take a little longer. Um, some of the bigger manufacturers, they do have the machine made, and you can tell the difference between the hand rolled and the machine made. It's a little bit tighter with the machine made, because it's just going as tight as a fan. It's one consistency. Usually with the handmade or the hand rolled ones, you might find a little bit of flaws, but nothing's perfect, but
Yeah, I mean, you got a person doing it, just like anything. There's going to be, some nuances there. So it's different. It is a process, but I think that's why now hand rolling cigars is almost a novelty. You see it a lot at weddings. You see it at corporate events, things like that, because you're not used to seeing somebody actually hand roll a cigar. It's an artistry. It really is.
yes,
So I guess it's almost like cooking when someone cooks with love versus,
yeah,
you got the homemade macaroni versus the box.
yeah,
It's just
Yeah.
spit out
definitely.
for everybody, and you can feel the love and the hand and the quality that goes in there. So let's break this anatomy down, starting with the filler.
So there's plenty of fill. You have your long filters, fillers, and you have your short fillers. So that's going to be like the body of the cigar. It's going to be like the internals. So usually when it comes in all different, flavors, you have your Maduro, you have your Ecuadorian, your Nicaraguan, you know, any anything that you can think of that they grow tobacco, you can put that as a filler.
Mhm.
Now you have different types of fillers. Now you have your long filter or fillers, I'm sorry, and then your short fillers. So your long fillers are going to keep it burning longer. So because it's one big piece, it's going to keep burning. Whereas your short fillers are going to be the ones that light it. So with those two things, they can bring different flavors when you mix different flavors. Like say if you put a Lajero, if you do double Lajero, that's going to be a strong cigar no matter what, because Lajero is a strong fermented leaf, and it's just going to be a strong cigar. But if you mix that with say a Nicaraguan one, it might be a little bit lighter, but it'll still be on the fuller bodied end of the cigar. Yeah.
So the fillers is the flavor is what they mixing in with the leaf, if I'm understanding it right.
So it's like kind of like a casserole. The tobacco is like the meat of it,
Yeah.
right? So the
Okay.
tobacco you're smoking, you don't want to fill a whole leaf with just straight tobacco.
Yeah.
That's too much. You're not going to get a really good flavor profile off of that.
Mhm.
That's where the fillers come in.
Yeah.
You put the tobacco, you put a little bit of the fillers. That's going to give it more flavor, more layers to it, and
So
then the leaf.
So this is where you might want to add vanilla, maybe pepper, cocoa. Is it leaves or are they like? Because I'm trying to draw the picture for the beginner when we say filler and what where the flavor where the flavor come from. So is it almost like cooking like I'm seasoning a pot roast where it's like okay I got a little bit of thyme right here. I'm gonna add a little cocoa right here
The
and
filler is almost like it's like
roll
the
it up.
Yeah.
leaf, yeah. So when you roll a cigar, you're cutting the leaves are like this big.
Yeah.
They're huge, right? So you cut it to roll a cigar. Once you're done rolling a cigar, you have a lot of leftover scraps. Almost like when you make cookies and you do the cookie cutter and you have all that leftover dough. You still want to use the dough. You still want to use the leaves that you have left over. You don't want to just toss them and let them go to waste. That's what you're going to use as your filler.
Yes. And so,
Okay.
like, there is different flavors, like you're saying, like how the flavored. So you can infuse your fillers. You
Hmm.
can, um, when you're, because they have to be kept either moist or, if you keep them dry, you have to make sure they're moist. But you can keep them in something that's flavored, and it'll absorb the flavor to it.
Some people do it with whiskey,
Whiskey,
tequila, coffee. You put it in a bin or a humidor with your drink of choice on the side, and the leaf is supposed to suck that moisture out, which in turn sucks in the flavor of whatever it is that you have it in there with.
like whiskey barrels, they do leave them in whiskey barrels to actually soak up whatever's left in the whiskey, because it'll soak up whatever's left in the wood, and that's where sometimes you get that whiskey flavor in your cigars.
I did learn that trick when went to I'm not I'm sorry, Cuba. And they told me when you don't have a humidor with your cigars, take a Kroger bag, put them in a Kroger bag, take a sponge for a little water, and then I put whiskey on that sponge and stick that sponge in another bag and put the sponges. Don't put the sponge in the bag with the cigars, but put the sponge in one bag and get another bag, put the sponge in it and put that bag into that bag and then tie it up tight and put it somewhere cool
Yeah.
and I did that with, and it works. I mean, it kept the cigars moist, and it does kind of give that whiskey type flavor. So yeah, I've done that before, and it does work. Now we go from the filler. Now you got the binder.
Yeah. So the binder is going to be the thing that
Binds it
yeah,
together.
you're literally rolling. This is the first part of the rolling process. You're going to roll the tobacco that you just put together, the fillers. You're going to put it all together, and then you're going to roll that with a binder. Now, binders, they don't really create too much flavor. I mean, they do create a little bit of flavor. That's not where all your flavor comes from, but it's usually a broadleaf. It's just a real basic leaf. You can go a little crazy on it if you want, but that's what you're going to roll it up in, and that's going to create the body of the
Yeah.
cigar, and that's how what goes into the press. So you have to let it press, and that's where the tightness comes in, or um, just to form the shape that you're looking for. So that's a really crucial process, because without it, you're not going to have a
It's gonna
cigar
fall
that
apart.
sticks together.
Yeah.
You're just going to have tobacco leaves pretty much.
So for those that roll other things, the binder is kind of like a leaf that, like a paper, as
Yes.
they
Yeah.
would say. For those that roll other things,
Yes.
Yes.
they're
It's
taking their leaves and they put it in there. Now you're rolling it up into that leaf.
Yep.
yes.
But then we got the wrapper.
Yes.
Mhm.
So this is where your like 90 up to 90% of your flavor comes from is the wrapper itself. So this is like the important process. Like you got to make sure you're wrapping correctly. Once again, you can use any leaf you want. Connecticut broadleaf. You got your Maduro. You got just regular Connecticut, Candela. Just whatever your. You can do multiple too. You can have Candela and Connecticut broadleaf and have a barber pole. But this is where your flavor is going to come from, because that's the part that's actually burning on the outside. So it's when you're inhaling it a little bit. So it's kind of you're sucking it in. So it'll be one of the first things that go into the smoke. Obviously, it's a little different when you puff out, because that's going to be a lot of the nicotine that you're smoking out. But when you're rolling it, you got to make sure it's nice and tight. Nice and tight. You
Yeah.
got to keep on, and it's a process. It's your first time. My first time, I messed up my cigar. Like it.
It's so easy to fall apart because
Yes.
the binder, of course, is what's going to hold it all together, and you want to make sure that that's tight, but you don't want it so tight that it's hard to take a draw out of
Yes.
the cigar.
Yeah, I
um,
hate that when you can't.
yeah, they
Yeah.
have a thing for that. They have a pick. I didn't know this. So you got a little pick and you just like stick it in there to open it up a little.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
neat for that.
yeah, it's really cool. So they have that.
I just
And
usually just keep clipping on mine, 'cause I like a V cut. So I was just Ving. I keep Ving it in until the smokes opens up. Now,
yeah,
now, is it possible? Do all this come from the same leaf, or the
So
binder, the wrapper, the filler?
it, it comes from the same plant. So
there's
usually,
different
yeah,
layers.
there's different layers. You have 3 layers. You have your top layer, your middle layer, and your bottom layer. So the top layer is usually going to be, what is it? Because it's the driest. So that's going
That's
to be
the
your driest is going to be your filler,
mhm.
where your middle leaf is going to be your binder, and the bottom leaf is going to be your wrapper. So sometimes they come from the same plants, but sometimes they put different plants.
Together to
Yeah.
make a different flavor profile.
And it's also depends on how they're grown, because there's some plants that are grown in volcanic soil. So that's going to have a completely different profile
Mhm.
than something that's grown in Cuba or Nicaragua, and just regular fermented soil. It's all different. They have different ways of putting it together. They have different ways of processing the leaves, making them.
Just growing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like any type of crop. One year is going to be different from the other.
Yes.
Now, it says that the outer leaf can, like as you alluded earlier, that's 60% of the flavor is is the wrapper, and the wrapper is pretty lucrative because they said some of them can trade for $500 a pound.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It depending on like what kind you get. Um,
Where it's grown, how it's grown.
yeah, I mean that's one of the things that you can actually import. I think from Cuba, if I'm not mistaken, is you can get some of the leaves. Even though you can't have Cuban cigars, you can get some of their leaves. But of course, you got to get them through third parties. But yes, it does get a little expensive. But if you're looking for that much tobacco, because you only need probably quarter of a pound, and you can make 50 to 100 cigars.
Yeah.
Just depending on how you're rolling it, how big you're doing your cigars. you really don't need a lot.
So now we got the head and the cap.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
the
the
cap's
piece
really important.
in.
Yeah. So the cap's really important. Like when you have a couple different types of caps. You have, your pigtail, you have your triple cap, and you just have, your regular cap. Um, the triple cap's going to be a little more secure because it's wrapped 3 times, which,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh. So the cap's going on on this end. So this is the
Yeah.
cap that goes on the smoking end.
Yeah, it's on the end that you use your V cut or your straight cut or your punch cut.
Because it looks like one, so it kind of goes over the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So like with the triple cap, it's going to be rolled 3 times. It's going to be rolled 3 times, and it's just going to it makes it more secure at the top, so it doesn't fall apart. Now, good cigar rollers, all their cigars are going to be like, of course, you have those one-offs, but like a pigtail cigars, it's literally what it sounds like. It's a tail. You can literally twist it, and it'll pop off, and you can smoke it like that. You don't need to cut it.
I seen that first time I seen that ever was Cuba, where
Yeah.
they switched it up. I've never seen a commercial cigar with the pigtail like that.
There's a couple. I know like Diesel. They make a couple that have the pigtails. It's very uncommon because it is an art. It's an art, like making custom shoes. It's an art. Not a lot of people do it, especially with like the machine rolled cigars. They're trying to produce out quantity or quality over its hands and like the quality of it. So when you have somebody who does handmades and pigtails, it's a completely different smoke. Um, it's something that I suggest everybody at least try once. We made our own. We smoked our own. I smoked hers. She smoked mine. Um, it's good. It's great to me. So
It's fun to make.
yeah.
We messed it up a few times, but it's fun to make.
What shocked me next is the foot of the cigar, and this is the end that you light.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what do you do to the foot of it? I thought it just once you wrap it, it's just automatically there. You chop it off and cut it, and it's good. So, what do you do with the foot of the cigar?
So it's also something like that's personal preference. So a lot of people, they go straight up with a torch lighter and they'll just put it straight up on there and puff. With doing something like that, you're gonna create a lot of and you're gonna inhale the flame into the cigar further. So there's a chance that you can get more char or smoke.
Mm-hmm.
It burn taste pretty much.
So what is the proper way to light this? Because this is me.
So you can still use a torch. There's plenty of ways to do this. I toast it. It's called toasting the foot. I have
and this is when you torch it right there. I do that, and then I turn around and I puff on it. But
yeah, and that's perfectly fine because once you actually get it toasted and it's kind of lit, you're gonna do that just to get the rest of it lit. Mm-hmm. So like me, I have it's called a fat flame lighter, and what it is, it's used to paint. It's literally you're painting the foot of the cigar, but you're lighting it as well. So it doesn't go deep into the cigar. It's a really mellow light. But now if you're
smooth burn.
Yes, it's a smooth burn. Yeah. Whereas if you have a torch is nothing wrong with it, but kind of angle it when you're lighting it and turn it. It'll help reduce some of the char. Yeah. Reduce some of the char uneven.
Two, I hate as I'm smoking and it goes uneven. It burns like this.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong?
That's the technique where if you rotate it while you're lighting it, you want to make sure it's burning evenly around the circumference of the cigar, of the foot of the cigar. Sometimes when you just get it and you light it like a cigarette and you're trying to puff it, you're only getting like the bottom end of the cigar, so it's going to smoke unevenly. Yeah. And there's just some cigars you can't prevent that because again, it's how it's packed, how it's rolled, things like that.
Humidity, the way it's
it's not your fault.
Yeah. Trust me, I've had a couple of bad ones where it's just like you can't control it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can do. And there's ways that you can chop off the end of that cigar and start all over with that cigar. You can just start over with it. Sometimes you can save it. Sometimes when you're doing that, you could also be taking too many puffs. You're not giving it time
To rest in between, really.
yes, rest in between and burn, because that's what also keeps it, lit is, you let it rest. One puff every couple minutes, it's fine. It's still gonna burn. But if you're sitting there just puffing, 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 you're gonna get that uneven burn sometimes. And you might go out if you forget it, and then that relighting the cigars, a whole
Yeah,
nother
that's for
story.
the
So
birds.
yeah,
Yeah.
We might have to do a class on that. You guys will have to show us how to light it properly and relight it. But now we get to the body. Now this is one of your top five
yeah,
recommendations, the Johnny Tobacco Knot.
yes,
And so we get to the body, I can't even say that, cyclical core you hold to guide the draw.
yeah. So
So the
that's
body
yeah.
Hmm.
is formed by all the wrapping and is there anything else that we do to the body once it's formed?
So I mean, there could be a lot of things. Some people, they once it's formed, they can go into like an aging process.
Hmm.
Can go into a fermentation process. It's just whatever the flavor of the cigar they're looking for. But usually, once it's rolled, you're gonna let it sit. They gotta let it sit because tobacco plant's a living plant. Even if it's off the leaf, it's still gonna absorb and it's gonna release moisture. So it's living. So they're gonna let it rest. They're gonna put it where it needs to be in the right humidity, and then once it's done and it's been sitting for a while, it's ready to go. So there's nothing really else. You can band it. You can put the band on the cigar, but usually after
So
you cap,
the band is like this wrapper right here, if I'm correct, like the Johnny Tobacco Not band.
yes.
Oh yeah, the
So
band is what
yeah,
really the advertisement. It's like the clothes of the
Yeah.
yes,
cigar. It's
Yeah.
like the shirt of it.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Now,
It's
let's back up a little bit. You
yeah,
mentioned now that you've learned all the different pieces and you done went out there and you done bought this cigar and just jumped in the cigar game. You don't want to spend 15, 15, $20 on this nice, in my case, Johnny Tobacco now and throw it on the table. And I'm with the cool kids now. I'm gonna throw this on my kitchen table until I go out to the cigar bar next week and show them what I got. How are we gonna take care of this? I just went out there and bought it. Now I want to be cool. How do I take care of this? What am I supposed to do with this?
okay, good.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to have a humidor. And if you don't have a humidor, because this is how he started, Tupperware.
Tupperware.
Get Tupperware, distilled water. There's like a bunch of different things that, like you did it with a sponge, put it in a bag. As long as you're keeping the cigar moist in a certain humidity.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's an art all on its own, to
Mhm.
be honest, because he gets
It
really
is.
melodic with it.
We need to do a class on that as well. Now, when you mentioned distilled water, do they put them in Tupperware and do you pour the distilled water on top of the cigars?
Oh
No,
no.
it's
Okay,
like
because
yeah,
because we got to give them step by step
Yeah.
instructions because you got
Okay.
somebody to pull out their Tupperware. They're going to pour that water on there. And you said Tupperware and distilled water. So, what is the technique?
So right now, like honestly, there's some things out there that you can it controls the humidity. It's called Bovita packs or some sort of
Yeah.
humidity packs. They release and absorb moisture to the humidity you like. Now, some people like their humidity different, 62 to 72. Just really depends on your flavor. Being more humid, it's going to be a little wetter, so it might not burn as evenly. But where it's a little drier, you can still have uneven burns. But you can use Ziploc bags. Anything that has an airtight seal, you can use to preserve your cigars.
So I can
It's
put my cigar in a Ziploc and then let it rest in a little distilled water. Let the Ziploc bag with the cigars rest in a little distilled water.
you could do that. It's gonna absorb a lot of it. So like distilled water by itself is usually gonna it could get up to like 80% humidity because it's just water.
I think if you're just starting out, the easiest thing to do is use what they have out there, like a Bovita pack,
Yes.
because you don't have to worry about, oh, am I putting too much water? Am I doing this right? Ziploc bag, cigar, Bovita pack, done.
And they sell them at the cigar lounge you're going
Yeah.
to. So that's even better. So if they're like, hey, you're going to go buy a couple, say 5 cigars, like I usually buy 5 cigars, I'll buy a Bovita pack. just to have, just in case.
Mhm.
Um, so it really just depends. Like if you're starting off, you buy a bunch, ask them there. Like I said, do not be afraid to ask the people there who's working because they know what they're doing. Or you know what? Ask somebody who looks like, like, hey, this guy looks like he know what he's doing. How do you? How I'm just getting into this, and don't be afraid to ask because myself, if somebody comes up and asks me a question, I'm going to give them everything I can because that's the way I am. I like to teach people because it's to enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
And I'm still struggling with that humidity. I have a electric humidor that I never could get the temperature set right. I thought it was set because it's electric, automatic. I tried water, no water, and it's too much humidity, and I can't get it to lower. Yeah, oh man, yeah, we'll have to talk about that on another day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I
So,
have I have a couple humidors, so yeah, I can definitely help you. I'll give you some tips.
oh great, definitely look forward to that. And our listeners, little trivia. They said the fastest Churchill, which is a 7 inch by 50, was rolled in 91 seconds in
Wow,
2012. That is the record.
that's
And if you ever
fast.
get a chance to see people roll, I mean, it's the way they do that. And I got a chance to catch them and seen them do it and chop it in the Dominican Republic. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep saying the Dominican Republic in Cuba. However, the Dominicans does have some good cigars, and you can take tours where they roll and cigars and everything out there as well.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the tobacco fields are out there in Nicaragua, Dominican,
Cuba.
Cuba. There's tobacco fields all out there, so the tobacco comes from everywhere. So any country you're in, you're going to see some tobacco.
Oh, well, be sure to check out our previous episode where they gave us the top 5 cigars, which I am still reviewing, by the way, and giving my opinion on it. Right now, I think the 601 Warhead Bomber by Espinosa is leading the pack as far as full body cigars. I think I like it better than the Liga Privada.
Ooh,
Oh,
wow. Okay.
okay. Hey, that's exactly what's so good about cigars. You smoke what you like. If that's what you like, go for it. Don't hate. I don't hate on anybody what they smoke. Like, hey, you like that better than I do? Hey, that's cool. This is what I like. Let's try something different together. That's what it is.
Well, if you're new, I recommend you get these top 5. If you're new and you like something sweeter, try that Deadwood by Drew Estate, the Sweet Jane. Deadwood, Drew Estate. That's a nice smoke for a beginner, something with a little flavor to it.
Yes.
A comfortable vibe. There's the Olivia Master Blend 3 Robusto, balanced complexity, labored flavors. And I mean, it evolves from the first draw. Then, of course, there's what I'm holding and still yet to review is the Johnny Tobacco Knot. It's supposed to be a bold adaptability with a citrus cream, peppery caramel showcase.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to get all the flavors into this. And the Liga Privada. Smoked that last week. That video of the review of the Liga Privada should be out there. And now, my favorite, the Espinosa La Bomba Warhead X 601.
Mm-hmm.
It was intense, but that was smooth. That one was straight, consistent, and smooth all the way into the very end. And then it stepped it up a little notch when I got towards the end of it. So that would be coming along. Then you even gave us the honorable mention, the wagashi, the creamy dessert, which is a great. I had a friend of mine that reviewed that one, but it is a great beginner, even beginner to me when you're trying to transition. So check us out and stay tuned for those videos on those reviews. Now, you mentioned before we wrap this up the different countries and the different seasons of the cigar. Have you ever noticed that you like the cigar at certain times of the year, or you like the cigar this year but didn't like it the next?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like with a lot of cigars, they come out every year, especially some of the top brands like the La Bamba. They have a different blend every year, and the weather can totally mess with it. Sometimes you're gonna like it, sometimes you're not, and it could be in the same box that a blend's different because they just used the filler wasn't as full bodied as the what you're used to.
It's
So
just so much goes into it.
yeah,
I mean, like it really does. Like one raindrop can throw it off.
yeah, it's a science.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a science. They got it down. They can't control it because you know what? We can't control Mother Nature. So they just do what they can with it. And if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, I'm still gonna give it a try, even if I didn't like it. I'll give it a try. Let it sit for a little bit. I'll give it a try a couple months later down the road.
Well, cool. Well, we hope you all enjoyed this. If you've watched it this far, I take it you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, thank Patrick and Victoria for dropping this knowledge that I mean, I've learned a lot tonight, just in this week. They're so knowledgeable. I'm telling you, these are true aficionados that we love partnering with them in Lifestyle After 5. If you in San Antonio and you see them in a cigar bar, run to them.
Yeah, come say
I mean,
hi.
give them a little piece. Don't crowd them with all your questions. Let them enjoy their cigar, but try to get your questions in there. Don't bombard Patrick now, but shake his hand. Tell him what's up. I seen you, Patrick. Get some suggestions. Smoke. Sit down with him, smoke, and get a little wisdom.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. We're always down for. We're open to anybody coming up. We love it.
We do. Thank you so much for having us
Yes.
again. We appreciate it.
We
Always
appreciate
a
it.
pleasure. We're gonna have to come back next time and teach you on just the humidity. There's so much to learn. It's almost like
There
a
is.
There is.
university. Well, until next time, guys know how to check us out, aliafter5.com. If you like want our shoes, our merchandise, our shirts, it's all there, everything you can find. We do a futurism podcast, as some of you have scanned in our Discord and joined our Discord. Matter of fact, we should start a cigar Discord. Right now, we're into the futurism where we drop a lot of futurism stuff, but stay tuned. We might do a cigar world. We join our Discord and we might put a cigar link in there. It's all about cigar bars and learn about your experiences. This is a lifestyle,
It's a good idea.
not just something that you do. Until next time, y'all be safe out there and smoke responsibly.
Yeah.